Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Welcome to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
It's our 100th episode! And we're back together! Yay!
Oh, that was so loud.
Was it? Sorry, baby. I forget you have headphones on there.
I do. I'm also watching the little meter and you scream and I watch it. I like, oh, that's not the volume that we tested at. That spiked us real good.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about how everyone listening to this episode just cringed.
Can you hear the sparkles?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
It kind of sounds a little bit like static, but yeah, you could definitely hear the sparkles.
I just opened up Kava, which I didn't even know we had in the basement. I think I bought it a long time ago. Hi, everyone. It's our 100th episode. I discovered what Kava is, doing a champagne tasting with my sister on the Joy when she was visiting, and learned that Cava is just Spanish Prosecco. I mean, it's Spain's version of the sparkling wine.
Right, because every country has their own, because you're not allowed to call it champagne.
It's not champagne unless it's from Champagne. We learned a lot. And the amazing sommelier on the ship named Yulia, who's from the Ukraine. First of all, one of the most amazing, joyous freaks I've ever met. I love her. So if you're listening, Yulia, we love you. We did this blind champagne tasting. So we tasted like this really bougie stuff. But the one we started with was Cava on the ship, and they upsell stuff. On the ship, it was $29 and I got 50% off. So one of the cheapest things I could buy on the ship, and it was delicious. So cheers to some Cava. Yay, clink. Yay.
That was some Foley work there.
That was. But we are back together in Iowa City. We're still in Iowa City. Back in
Iowa, where it all began.
Where it all started. I'm sitting on the couch, and is it good?
Ooh, that's really tasty. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Cava for the win. But yeah, we're back, and we missed last week because I was in the process of recovering from 8 months on a boat. So I lost my voice. My neck went out. I've been kind of a disaster since I got back.
Didn't sleep very much.
No, because my neck went out. Been seeing a chiropractor in town again. They're cracking me good. But yeah, we were like, let's not record our 100th episode when I was very good at taking care of my voice on the ship because, as I mentioned, and I'm sure Ken has mentioned, I was doing a Broadway cabaret, which was quite vocally demanding. And we did it twice a week. So I was very, very good the entire contract of taking care of myself. And the last 2 weeks, we burned the freaking candles at both ends, all of us, because we had shore leave in Bermuda. And most of us had never been there. So we were just going. And oh my gosh. But that last week, I don't know how we all did that show, but it actually was really good. And then we just blew our voices out like last night. And I was like, I don't want to record when I literally was like,
I mean, it could have been fun.
It would have been really fun. I would not have been able to do many voices. Let's just say that. My range.
Yeah, so all of your men would have just been Johnny Cash, and all of your women would have been Johnny Cash.
Yes. It would have not been the most exciting. And I couldn't move my head at the time either. So it would have been a very awkward recording session.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. D, for fixing the neck.
Yeah, Dr. D. My new chiropractors, I hope they're listening.
We'll make sure they get this episode.
Yes, a chiropractor office in Iowa City. Or it's actually in Coralville. And Ken and I have decided it would make a amazing like Netflix series because all three of the doctors that work there are like model hot.
To be fair, it is 2 doctors and 1 chiropractic assistant.
Yes. Because he does like the nutrition. He's like their nutritionist and stuff. But we walked in and we saw these 3 guys, and I'm like, we're like sitting there in the lobby waiting, and each guy that walks out, we're like, what the hell?
It felt a little bit like I've seen this porn.
Yep.
I know where this goes from here.
Why don't you come back and I'll crack your back. Thanks, Dr. D. And Colin. And now everyone can look them up.
Dr. D and Dr. C.
Dr. D and Dr. C. Yeah, there it is. That's good. But yeah, we're back, and Ken is about to leave. So.
About to leave again. Although, fortunately, I will be staying on solid ground, terra firma. So I should have internet, and there won't be the confusion of...
There will not be a boat keeping us apart.
Yeah. Well, also, that just means that... now, as much fun as I would have just being a listener, it means Heather will not be forced to find a co-host and record for 6 months on her own.
Which I would be happy to do if I needed to, but I will say that it was better that it was Ken, because he also is, the major technology person behind this podcast. So I don't...
Yeah. Although I look forward to you taking over the social media again.
Yes, I will be back on the social media front. So... Though you've been doing good. I like the graphics you've been doing.
Thank you.
Whenever I did have internet, I would see them.
See what we got.
Like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. That's good. Huge shout out to Emily and to Craig and to Jamie and to Kim.
And to Kim and Torin.
Anybody who guest hosted with Ken, thank you so much. You're all rock stars, and you are officially part of Campfire Classics.
Yeah. So Emily just, I believe, yesterday
opened
or the day before, just this weekend. Opened Steel Magnolias.
At Creed, where I have worked.
At Creed. I believe Torin is getting ready to spend a summer in St. Louis performing in the Heights.
Nice.
And my mom just tested positive for COVID.
Sorry, Jamie.
So but I am happy to report that the worst seems to be behind her. She had one really bad day, and now she's on the upswing and improving.
Yeah. And Craig's playing his music. Kim's living in New York.
Planning a wedding.
That's right. She is planning a wedding.
So thank you all for helping us get through the craziness that was the last 6 months. Hopefully we are back to business as usual or business as intended.
Intended. I like that.
I don't know how usual things ever were around here.
I don't think we are very usual. I think that we are very unusual, which is why people listen to this chaos.
Yeah. I'm hoping that with Heather back at the forefront of our social media and communications, we can get a couple people in for some true crimes and a lie, because I've got at least 2 episodes worth of stories prepped.
Okay.
So we can do a couple of those. Hopefully you'll hear those in the next month or 2.
I'll have to re-download Twitter on my phone. I deleted Twitter and TikTok. Well, I unloaded it from my phone because they just didn't work on the ship. So they were just taking up space that I didn't need. So I just kind of unloaded them. So I will re-download Twitter so I can be my Tweety self, and I'm pretty glad to hear that Elon Musk will not be owning my soul, apparently.
No, did you hear he lost $69 billion in the last year?
Yeah, Tesla crashed or something. That sounds bad. Tesla didn't crash.
I'll bet a Tesla crashed somewhere.
I bet a Tesla crashed, and that probably caused some concern. But
one Tesla crashed, and it cost Elon Musk $69 billion.
$69 billion.
Yeah. 69
billion. Just going for the unusual.
Sure. No, I like it.
As we do. We did just see Doctor Strange, so I'm feeling very unusual.
Yeah, I checked out the new Doctor Strange.
Which was my first movie theater experience. That was not the only time I've seen a movie since COVID hit. Was the cast of Footloose. We rented a theater to see Dune in Tampa, but it was a small theater. It was literally just 21 of us in the theater. So it didn't really feel like a movie theater experience. But this was the first time we went and I saw a movie with general public around. I promptly walked in and spilled half the popcorn because I don't function well in public anymore.
No, it was very
funny.
Graceful.
I walked right into a chair. I was like, and then the movie happened.
And the dude with the big hair who was sitting right there looked over and laughed immediately.
He was just like, oh, and I swore immediately. I was like, oh, I'm in public. I should probably not. And then I was like, if there's children in here, they're about to see Doctor Strange. They can handle the word fuck. It's okay. In true Heather fashion, I walked into the room, made a scene, made people uncomfortable, and then made them laugh.
And then made them laugh.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I don't know.
I mean, they were laughing.
The guy with the big hair laughed.
No one was like, "Get out of here, you crazy hippie."
Oh, that's a job for next time, is get someone to throw stuff.
Throw stuff? Oh.
Yeah, like get out of here, throw stuff.
Get out of here, you damn hippie.
Damn hippie.
Damn hippie.
So while I was road tripping this, soon we'll get around to what it is we actually do. But this is
it's the 100th episode. And we have a lot to catch up on.
This is Ken and Heather are together again, so we're doing some catch up. While I was driving from North Carolina to Iowa, I made my last gas station stop.
This story is fabulous.
Pulled off it was the last stop in Indiana just before getting to Illinois. Driving the little yellow Beetle around. It's got all of our hippie liberal ass bumper stickers on the back of it. And what I'd been doing all the way across the country is going in and paying in cash for my gas, because gas prices being what they are, oftentimes if you pay in cash, they'll give you a little bit of a discount.
Pro tip, I did not know that.
In North Carolina, it was often as much as 20 cents a gallon cheaper.
That's crazy.
Anyway, so I get out of the car, I pull up to the little gas pump thing, get out of the car, I walk in just in time to hear the lady behind the register say something about, the fucker in the hippie yellow Beetle. She was talking to her coworker, to the other person behind the counter, clearly did not pay close enough attention to realize that I was the fucker in the hippie yellow Beetle. So I get in line and wait for her to acknowledge me. As she finishes, goes through the line, looks up at me and is like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" And I said, I'll get $50 on pump number 7. It's the hippie yellow Beetle. And she looked at me, her blood drained from her face. She looked at me, she looked out at the car, she looked at the register, she hit a couple of keys, and she said, "You're all good."
So basically, moral of the story is watch what you say, which, you always should. But really, the moral of the story is if you call people out on their bullshit, you get free gas.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I love that story. I love that he got $50 of free gas, and the gas prices are so crazy right now. That's a huge deal.
That was a full tank. $50 was the tank.
That's a full tank on the Beetle. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. So if you're listening, lady, thanks for the free gas. Thanks for the free gas, and also hope you learned your lesson.
Yeah. Life hacks.
Life Hacks by Campfire Classics.
So, hey, listener, this is Campfire Classics, not a Life Hacks podcast, and not usually just Ken and Heather bullshitting about what they've done for the last 6 months.
Are you kidding? That's kind of what we do.
This is a literary comedy podcast where we take turns reading short stories that we take out of the public domain. We try to muddle our way through them as best we can, but we're reading them for the first time just as you're hearing them for the first time.
And listening to them for the first time.
So oftentimes the accents are strange choices. The words don't necessarily make sense. We will occasionally have to look up outdated or archaic language, and we will frequently laugh at things that maybe weren't a penis joke when they were written, but they certainly are now.
69 billion.
Ejaculated.
So often.
Although, as my brother pointed out a couple of weeks ago, sometimes those penis jokes were penis jokes when they were written.
Yeah, I mean, some authors were slyer than others.
Some of them were, dirtier than others. But we choose stories out of the public domain because it's the best way to avoid getting sued. Yeah. And this week, I have selected a story for Heather to read for our 100th episode.
100! Oh, my Lord. Ting, ting, ting. Looks like cheers. That didn't work very good.
Here we go. I'll get the...
It's like the saddest noise. How's this one work? That one's not bad. Okay.
Campfire Classics, where we test Foley live and see how much of it Ken leaves in on
how much
editing.
will people hear this at home? All right, what am I reading today, Mr. Sandberg?
So before every story, we like to read a few fun facts just to give you, the listener, and ideally the person reading, a little bit of context around what it is they're going to be reading.
Things. This is an educational podcast as much as it is damn ridiculous.
Yeah, it's edutainment.
Yeah, see?
But this week is our 100th episode, and longtime listeners will be unsurprised that I have chosen an Agatha Christie story this week.
I was hoping. That's our muse.
First-time listeners, that's because Agatha Christie is sort of our patron saint and the reason why we started this whole thing in the first place. However, we've covered her a bunch, talking about everything from her days as a surfer girl to her mysterious disappearance, and from her play The Mousetrap, holding the record for longest-running play, to the fact that she is the third best-selling author of all time, falling only behind Shakespeare and God. The works of Shakespeare.
God wrote the Bible?
The works of Shakespeare and the Bible are the only two things to sell better than her, and I just think it's funnier to say that she's third place behind Shakespeare and God.
I love that. I love that very much.
Anyway, if you want to hear more details about her, you can go check out any of our previous episodes where we read her stories. There are a bunch of them. Basically, she's amazing.
Yes.
But I'm not going to talk about her much, as cool as she is. I am instead going to list shows that we are now better than because we made it to 100 episodes.
Awesome. We are very humble here at Campfire Classic.
So we're going to start with Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, damn.
Which made it 3 seasons and only 79 episodes.
Suck it, Trekkies.
Now, they did create an animated series a few years after the original series that had the voice actors. Most of the voice actors were the same actors who were in the original.
Okay.
That aired for 22 episodes, giving them a total of 101. But I don't think that really counts. It was a second attempt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree,
Yeah. But the moral of that story is we should assume that this podcast will be expanded into a multi-series universe with several movies.
And Patrick Stewart will be involved at some
hopefully
point.
Patrick Stewart
and
will be
Whoopi
involved,
Goldberg.
Yeah. So next we have The Jetsons.
Oh, yeah.
It took The Jetsons 25 years to produce only 75 episodes.
Oh my gosh, really?
They ran 3 seasons, but it was spread out. Like the first one was in the 60s.
Yeah.
The second one was in the late 70s. The third one was in the early 80s.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember watching it in the 80s, and those were not reruns necessarily.
Yeah. And then there was a movie that came out in like 1990 that was the final episode.
Oh.
But over 25 years, they aired 75 episodes, which means mathematically they averaged 3 episodes a year.
Lazy.
So, Campfire Classics is better than Hanna-Barbera.
Suck it, Hanna-Barbera. I love that both the first examples were space stories. Sci-fi space.
I intentionally did not include Firefly on this list because I felt it was going a little sci-fi heavy.
Well, and also Firefly got the shit into the stick.
Yeah. Well, many shows canceled early did. Launching the careers of James Franco, Linda Cardellini, Seth Rogen, and Jason Segel, the show Freaks and Geeks ran for a single 18-episode season.
Yeah.
Chappelle's Show got 28 episodes in 3 seasons, and 1 season of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip yielded 22 episodes. All of this means that Campfire Classics has managed a longer run than Judd Apatow, Dave Chappelle, and Aaron Sorkin combined.
Suck it, gentlemen.
This is obviously all absurd.
If any of you would like to collaborate on anything, you just give us a call. You just contact us on the website.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle's Campfire Classics.
Oh my gosh. That would be a different episode. Judd Apatow's. Aaron Sorkin, you're welcome to come on over.
Aaron Sorkin's Walk and Talk of Campfire Classics.
Walk and Talk episode. Amazing. We have to walk around a track the whole time we're reading.
Oof. Carrying a torch because we can't just sit around a fire.
No, we can't.
So obviously that's ridiculous. No part of me actually thinks that we are better than any of these shows just because we've released more material. Because among other things, by that reckoning, Guiding Light, with its 57 years and over 15,000 episodes, would be the best English language scripted bit of media ever.
Guiding light. Is it still on?
No, it
Okay.
ended think it finally went off the air in like 2011 or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that's unreal.
But yeah, it ran for 57 years and had like 15,600 something episodes. Anyway, I'll let you, dear listener, be the judge on whether or not that actually makes it the best TV series ever.
I'm going to guess no.
One person we are definitely not better than is this week's author, Agatha Christie, who wrote 66 novels and somewhere around 155 short stories. The exact number varies by account.
Badass lady.
So we've still got some catching up to do with her. This week, you'll be reading one of her short stories called The Plymouth Express Affair.
Oh.
Which I don't think we've read before.
No, it sounds like an affair that's going to happen on a train.
Yeah, that's certainly what it sounds like.
Hot.
Anyway, if we get into the story and I realize, oh crap, we have read this one, I'll just pick a different story and we'll edit it to sound like I did that one in the first place.
I don't remember this title. I feel like I'd know that title very much.
So that's what we're doing this week.
Cool.
Let's start this fire.
Let's do it. Ooh, it's crackly. The Plymouth Express Affair by Agatha Christie. Alex Simpson, RN, stepped from the platform at Newton Abbot into a first-class compartment of the Plymouth Express.
Registered nurse?
I guess. We're going to find out. I'm guessing it's like a British, like, we're going to find out. A porter followed him with a heavy suitcase. He was about to swing it up to the rack, but the young sailor stopped him. Oh, he's a sailor.
Royal Navy.
Royal Navy. Hey, see, she does a really good job of, like, correcting our
Context
stupidity.
clues, yeah.
Context clues.
Yeah, I do find that if I just shut up, my questions are usually answered pretty quickly.
Usually answered. If the writer's good, they're going to fill in the blanks. Yep. No, leave it on the seat. I'll put it up later. Here you are. Thank you, sir, the porter generously tipped. And withdrew. He tipped and withdrew.
The porter, generously tipped, withdrew.
I know. I'm being dirty.
Got
Go
it.
with my penis joke.
Got it. No, so he pulled out his generous tip.
Yes. And then withdrew.
Hats off to your lady friends.
Yeah, ding ding.
Generous tip.
Doors banged, see? And then we're going right into it.
The man with the generous tip.
Man, that's a whole new mystery novel right there.
I think that's the next Austin Powers movie.
Austin Powers, the man with the generous tip.
Wink.
Ding dong. Didn't even mean to make a sex joke there. All right, we're doing good. Doors banged. A stentorian?
Stentorian. That's a word
voice.
we have looked up before.
Have we?
Yes. I
Been a
don't
while.
remember what it means,
So there you go.
but I know we've looked it up before. Loud and powerful.
All right. Well, that helps. All right. Doors banged. A stentorian voice shouted, "Plymouth only. Change for Torquay. Plymouth next stop." Torquay? That sounds
Torquay.
good. Then a whistle blew and the train drew slowly out of the station. Lieutenant Simpson had the carriage to himself. The December air was chilly and he pulled up the window. Then he sniffed vaguely and frowned. What a smell there was. It reminded him of that time in hospital and the operation on his leg. Yes, chloroform. That was it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What's in that suitcase? Yee.
Have you run across that one on the list of worst pickup lines ever?
What?
So on the list of so when you're doing the game of okay, what's your worst pickup line? What's your worst pickup line? One of my favorites that I've ever run across was, "Hey, come here. Does this smell like chloroform to you?"
Oh my God. That's like the Ted Bundy pickup line. Except it's not a pickup line. Oh my God. If some guy did that to me, I would
kick him in the balls and run away.
Kick him in the tip and go bye-bye.
We're going to get your generous tip to swell a little bit.
Yep.
Bam. Nope, not the fun way.
All right, so now we've got the Royal Navy officer smelling chloroform in his train. That sounds good. He let the window down again, changing his seat to the one with its back to the engine. He pulled a pipe out of his pocket and lit it. For a little time, he sat inactive, looking out into the night and smoking. At last, he roused himself and, opening the suitcase, took out some papers and magazines, then closed the suitcase again and endeavored to shove it under the opposite seat, without success. Some hidden obstacle... Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Somebody got chloroformed and shoved under the seat.
Oh, shit. Some hidden obstacle restrained it. He shoved harder with rising impatience, but it still stuck out halfway into the carriage. Why the devil won't it go in? He muttered.
You can try just pushing harder, but in my experience, that's not the best way to work things out.
A little patience, a little tactical maneuvering, and ease. Anyway, some grease, some. Why the devil won't it go in? He muttered, and hauling it out completely, he stooped down and peered under the seat. A moment later, a cry rang out into the night, and the great train came to an unwilling halt in obedience to the imperative jerking of the communication cord. Oh, Lord. Oh, no! Poirot's here!
Yes!
Mon ami, said Poirot, you have, I know, been deeply interested in this mystery of the Plymouth Express. What? He's telling the story.
We have jumped locality by the sound of it.
Okay. Mon ami, said Poirot, you have, I know, been deeply interested in this mystery of the Plymouth... I can't do his accent.
That is wildly not Belgian. You're out of practice.
Fuck me.
You're out of practice. I just thought...
Out of practice? When have I ever been good at the French-Belgian accents? Mon ami, said Poirot, you have, I know, been deeply interested in this mystery of the Plymouth Express. Read this. I picked up the note he flicked across the table to me. It was brief and to the point. Dear sir, I shall be obliged if you will call upon me at your earliest convenience. Yours faithfully, Ebenezer Halliday. The connection was not clear to my mind, and I looked inquiringly at Poirot. For answer, he took up the newspaper and read aloud. A sensational discovery was made last night. A young naval officer returning to Plymouth found under the seat of his compartment the body of a woman stabbed through the heart. Oh, that sucks.
Oh, dear. So not chloroformed.
I'm guessing chloroform
probably
was
chloroformed
used
first, yeah.
Which is nice. I mean, at least he numbed her before, or they numbed them. I guess I don't know if it was a woman or a man. The officer at once pulled the communication cord and the train was brought to a standstill. The woman, who was about 30 years of age and richly dressed, has not yet been identified. And later we have this. The woman found dead in the Plymouth Express has been identified as the Honorable Mrs. Rupert Carrington. You see now, my friend, or if you do not, I will add this. Mrs. Rupert Carrington was, before her marriage, Flossie Halliday, daughter of Old Man Halliday, the Steel King of America.
Her name was Flossie?
Flossie. That is a very theatrical-sounding name.
Was she a redheaded actress?
I hope she was a redheaded actress, and we find out she did it all along, and, you know. Flossie Halliday. All right, so now her dad, her dad has emailed.
Yes. Yeah, her dad emailed Poirot real quick.
He's also a time traveler.
Yeah.
So Ebenezer Halliday is Flossie's dad. All right, cool. And he's the Steel King of America. And he has sent for you. Splendid. I did him a little service in the past, an affair of bearer bonds, and once, when I was in Paris for a royal visit, I had Mademoiselle Flossie pointed out to me. La jolie petite pensionnaire. The pretty little rich lady? Pensionnaire?
Jolie? Ah, pensionnaire. The pretty little boarder. Boarder as in a person who is boarding in a house.
Okay, cool. So, la jolie petite pensionnaire. She had the jolie dot, too. What's a jolie dot? Little dot? Little...
Dowry.
Oh, she had a pretty dowry, too.
She had a pretty dowry, too.
So everyone was on after that. It caused trouble and nearly made a bad affair. How was that? A certain Count de la Rochefort, bien mauvais... I hate you, Poirot. I hate you so much. Bien mauvais sujet. A good something. A good.
Hang on.
A good match. A good.
A very bad topic.
Okay. So he's just a bad he's a bad egg kind of.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of what it translates to.
Yeah.
So
we don't like him.
de la Rochefort is a dickwad. A bad hat, as you would say. Yes.
Yeah.
There it is. See, context clues.
Sometimes if you just shut up.
If you just shut up and read. An adventurer pure and simple who knew how to appeal to a romantic young girl. Luckily, her father got wind of it in time. He took her back to America in haste. I heard of her marriage some years later, but know nothing of her husband. I said. The Honorable Rupert Carrington is no beauty by all accounts. He'd pretty much run through his own money on the turf, and I should imagine old man Halliday's dollars came along in the nick of time. I should say that for a good-looking, well-mannered, utterly unscrupulous young scoundrel, it would be hard to find his match. Wow. So
right,
Hastings doesn't love this guy either?
Nope, not a huge fan.
Poor little lady. Elle n'est pas bien tombée. Tombée par beret.
Yeah. So literally, that is, she didn't fall well, but I think what it means is it didn't go well for her.
Yeah, like she fell for someone, but it didn't go well. Like,
yeah,
it's
like,
kind of like,
or like the dice didn't fall in her favor.
Yeah, the affair did not go in her favor. I knew that one though. Look at that, because tombée, pas de beret is
because the tombée is a fall.
Is the fall.
Yeah.
Look, ballet. I fancy he made it pretty obvious at once that it was her money and not she that had attracted him. I believe they drifted apart almost at once. I have heard rumors lately that there was to be a definite legal separation. Old man Halliday is no fool. He would tie up her money pretty tight. I dare say. Anyway, I know as a fact that the Honorable Rupert is said to have been extremely hard up. There's a lot of dick jokes in here. Aha, I wonder. You wonder what? My good friend, do not jump down my throat like that. You are interested, I see. Supposing you accompany me to see Mr. Halliday. There is a taxi stand at the corner. A very few minutes suffice to whirl us to the Succumb House in Park Lane, rented by the American magnate. We were shown into the library, and almost immediately we were joined by a large, stout man with piercing eyes and an aggressive chin. Mr. Poirot, said Mr. Halliday. He's definitely from Texas. I guess I don't need to tell you what I want for you. You read the papers, and I'm never one to let the grass grow under my feet. I happened to hear you were in London, and I remembered the good work you did over those bonds. Never forget a name. I've got the pick of Scotland Yard, but I'll have my man as well. Money, no object. All the dollars were made from my little girl, and now she's gone. I'll spend my last cent to catch the damn scoundrel that did it, see? So it's up to you to deliver the goods.
I like that when we're reading these stories, your American accent becomes aggressively American.
Well, he's a stout American businessman who is made his made his fortune in steel. So I have this. He's very blue collar, and I'm just going with Texas.
Great.
Or somewhere southern. Poirot bowed. I accept, monsieur, all the more willingly that I saw your daughter in Paris several times. And now I will ask you to tell me the circumstances of her journey to Plymouth and any other details that seem to you to bear upon the case. Well, to begin with, responded Halliday, she wasn't going to Plymouth. She was going to join a house party at Avonmead Court, the Duchess of Swansea's place. She left London by the 12:14 from Paddington, arriving at Bristol, where she had to change, at 2:50. The principal Plymouth Expresses, of course, run via Westbury and do not go near Bristol at all. The 12:14 does a non-stop run to Bristol, afterwards stopping at Weston, Taunton, Exeter, and Newton Abbot. This man really knows the trains.
He knows his train schedule.
Well, he's very, I guess he makes steel, so he makes the railroad lines, so I guess he likes trains.
Well, and I know my way around the New York subway station.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just, wow, he knows the train around the entire country. That's very impressive.
Yeah, an entire country that he doesn't live in.
That he doesn't live in at all. Suspicious.
She was a little dodgy
Don't
to
be
me.
Suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. My daughter traveled alone in her carriage, which was reserved as far as Bristol, her maid being in a third-class carriage in the next coach. See, if you just let the maid sit with her in first class, she probably wouldn't be dead.
The maid did it.
Maid did it.
The maid did it.
She was pissed that she was in the steerage cabin.
Yep. Nope, the body was misidentified. The corpse is the maid.
And she's out.
She's running away.
A redheaded
She's running away with the scoundrel boyfriend.
Redheaded actress. Da 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 da.
That's my.
All right.
That's my guess.
I'm into it. Either the maid did it or the maid is the dead person. Poirot nodded, and Mr. Halliday went on. The party at Avonmead Court was to be a very gay one. Oh, good. It was a pride party.
We do like a gay party.
I mean, who doesn't love a gay party? It's June. It's Pride Month, everybody.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What time?
It's May 30th.
It's May 30th. It's never mind. It's almost Pride Month.
Yep. 2 days.
When this comes out, it'll be Pride Month. It's June 1st, right?
Nope, May 31st.
Damn it. Oh, yeah, today's Monday.
Today's Monday.
I don't know days. I'm still on ship schedule. I don't know what day belongs to what person and where and who and how.
For the most part, days don't belong to people.
I want to own Wednesday because it's hump day.
Wednesday belongs to Odin.
To Odin as in the god?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's named after him.
Oh.
So Wednesday is spelled Wednesday, which is a bastardization of Woden's Day, which is Odin's Day.
Oh. Well, aren't all the days of the week actually technically named after gods and goddesses?
Most of them.
So Friday, they do belong to people.
Friday is Fry's Day.
Fry's Day, yes.
Saturday is Saturn's Day.
See, there it is. They do belong to people.
Thursday.
See, I was right.
Thursday is Thor's Day.
You corrected me, and then now you've corrected yourself.
Yeah, I thought I was being clever. And
I was just rambling, and I made more sense than I wanted to, is what happened.
I just mic dropped myself.
How'd that feel?
I can't decide if I feel really good about having that extra knowledge or really dumb about having just embarrassed myself.
To be fair, I think you're usually the smarter one in the room. So the fact that I got a blah, blah, blah that made more sense.
Yeah.
But then you were the smartest person in the room because you actually knew. You mic dropped yourself.
I mic dropped myself.
You self-corrected yourself.
That was a self-own.
Self-own. Smack. All right. Hey, you know what? That's how we become better people.
It is how we become better people.
You got to hold yourself accountable. Blah, blah, blah. Where were we? They're going to a gay party. That's where we started. That's right. We're off to a gay party.
We're headed to Marie's Crisis.
We're heading to Marie's Crisis. Yes. Sing along time. Oh, it's a very gay one with several balls, by the way.
Well, they typically are.
Oh, it's good. Mr. Halliday went on, the party at Avonmead Court was to be a very gay one with several balls, and in consequence, my daughter had with her nearly all her jewels, her family jewels, apparently, amounting in value perhaps to about $100,000. Damn. That's not something you just carry around to parties. That seems silly.
That's what I carry around at parties.
I knew it.
$100,000 worth of jewels? Yeah, that's what I'm... it's why I don't like going to parties.
That's true. You like to stay home and play with your jewels.
I'd like to play with my jewels at home.
You like to play with your family jewels at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better than in public.
It's very true. In public it seems inappropriate and dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good way to lose your jewels.
Or get arrested for your jewels.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, what are you going to do? Un moment. How do you say moment in French? I just went super Italian. Un momento.
I like it. We'll uno momento.
Oh, God.
Poirot is trilingual. He speaks French, English, and Italian.
How do you know he does?
Uno momento.
Un momento, interrupted Poirot. Who had charge of the jewels, your daughter or the maid? My daughter always took charge of them herself, carrying them in a small blue Morocco case. Continue, monsieur. At Bristol, the maid, Jane Mason, collected her mistress's dressing bag and wraps, which were with her, and came to the door of Flossie's compartment. To her intense surprise, my daughter told her she was not going to be getting out at Bristol, but was going on further. She directed Mason to get out the luggage and put it in the cloakroom. She could have tea in the refreshment room, but she was to wait at the station for her mistress, who would return to Bristol by an up train in the course of the afternoon. The maid, although very much astonished, did as she was told. She put the luggage in the cloakroom and had some tea. But up train after up train came in, and her mistress did not appear. He has slowly gone from Texas to like Southern
He's gone
Blanche Dubois.
He's gone very tidal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well.
He is
He's become Big Daddy.
A hair's a breath, an angel's breath away from Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, which I would cast in this role. He sounds like kind of this guy.
I would also cast Foghorn
as Big Daddy.
I would also cast Foghorn Leghorn as Big Daddy
in a Hanna-Barbera
in
version.
the Looney Tunes version of Cat on a Hot Tin
Roof. Hey, y'all, Looney Tunes, if you're listening.
Foghorn Leghorn is Big Daddy.
Lola Bunny is Maggie. Bugs Bunny is Brick.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of female Looney Tunes.
No.
For Big Mama. I'm trying to think.
Elmer Fudd?
In drag. Love it. That play would take forever because it'd be stuttered the whole time. Oh, my God. All right.
Wow, that was some real good narrowcasting right there.
Yeah.
For our one listener who is both a fan of Tennessee Williams and Looney Tunes, that was just the most interesting thing we've ever done.
If you're not a fan of both of those, I highly encourage you to check them out. Anyway, after the arrival of the last train, she left the luggage where it was and went to a hotel near the station for the night. This morning, she read of the tragedy and returned to town by the first available train. Is there nothing to account for your daughter's sudden change of plan? Well, there is this. According to Jane Mason at Bristol, Flossie was no longer alone in her carriage. There was a man in it who stood looking out of the farther window so that she could not see his face. The train was a corridor one, of course. Yes. Which side of the corridor? On the platform side. My daughter was standing in the corridor as she talked to Mason. There is no doubt in your mind? Excuse me. He got up and carefully straightened the inkstand, which was a little askew. Je vous demande pardon. Please beg my pardon.
You must forgive me.
Begging your pardon. He continued, reseating himself. It affects my nerves to see anything crooked. Yes, OCD. Yes.
Poirot, your OCD is showing.
He is so OCD, and I love it. It affects my nerves to see anything crooked. Strange, is it not? I was saying, monsieur, that there is no doubt in your mind as to this probably unexpected meeting being the cause of your daughter's sudden change of plan. It seems the only reasonable supposition. You have no idea as to who the gentleman in question might be? The millionaire hesitated for a moment and then replied, No, I do not know at all. Now, as to the discovery of the body. It was discovered by a young naval officer who at once gave the alarm. There was a doctor on the train. He examined the body. She had been first chloroformed and then stabbed. He gave it as his opinion that she had been dead for about 4 hours, so it must have been done not long after leaving Bristol, probably between there and Weston, possibly between Weston and Taunton. And the jewel case. The jewel case, Monsieur Poirot, was missing. One more thing, monsieur. Your daughter's fortune. To whom does it pass at her death? Flossie made a will soon after her marriage, leaving everything to her husband. He hesitated for a moment and then went on. I may as well tell you, Monsieur Poirot, that I regard my son-in-law as an unprincipled scoundrel, and that, by my advice, my daughter was on the eve of freeing herself by him by legal means. No difficult matter. I settled her money upon her in such a way that he could not touch it during her lifetime. But although they have lived entirely apart for some years, she has frequently acceded to his demands for money rather than face an open scandal. However, I was determined to put an end to this, and at last Flossie agreed, and my lawyers were instructed to take proceedings.
All right, I'm going to amend my previous theory for an even wilder theory.
Oh, love it, love it, love it.
The dead body is her husband, who they dressed up in drag and murdered in order to get her away from him. There was no maid.
Oh, he's part of it.
Dad is part of it. Dad is part of the plan. There was no maid.
Okay.
She just moved all of her stuff into the maid's apartment in order to get away from her apartment, where she had just murdered her now done up in drag husband.
Scoundrel husband.
And the doctor was also paid off. I haven't decided which character he is.
The doctor is dad in a costume. I don't know.
There was a maid. The doctor is the maid in a costume.
Up. Yes. Okay. Cool. Everyone's in costumes.
So we just played 3-card Monty.
Love it. Love
Everyone shuffled over, and now there is a dead man in a wig in a morgue somewhere.
Dead man in a wig.
Who has been falsely identified as
That was a weird
Flossie
autopsy.
Halliday.
So the autopsy person has also been
the autopsy person was chloroformed.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so Daddy got her to basically sign the money away from her husband, or had at least convinced her.
Yes.
We don't know if it's happened yet. Okay. And where is Monsieur Carrington? In town. I believe he was away in the country yesterday, but he returned last night. Poirot considered a little while, and he said, I think that is all, monsieur. Would you like to see the maid, Jane Mason? If you please. Halliday rang the bell and gave a short order to the footman. A few minutes later, Jane Mason entered the room, a respectable, hard-featured woman, as emotionless in the face of tragedy as only a good servant can be. Oh, Jesus. It's like, oh my God, we serve rich people. We see this shit all the time.
They're always dying.
They're always dying and being dramatic and losing their jewels and going to balls. And
killing us and making us pretend to be them.
Yeah, man. You will permit me to put a few questions. Your mistress, she was quite as usual before starting yesterday morning, not excited or flurried. Oh, no, sir. Apparently she's British.
Great.
Cool.
Well, she has to put on a British accent to disguise the fact that she's the dead daughter.
But at Bristol, she was quite different. Yes, sir. Regular upset. So nervous that she didn't seem to know what she was saying. What did she say exactly? Well, sir, as near as I can remember, she said, Mason, I've got to alter my plans. Something has happened. I mean, I'm not getting out here after all. I must go on. Get out the luggage and put it in the cloakroom, and then have some tea and wait for me in the station. Wait for you here, ma'am? I asked. Yes, don't leave the station. I shall return by a later train. I don't know when. It mayn't be until quite late. Very well, ma'am, I says. Oh, no, she's definitely Cockney. Anyway,
Too late.
I've made my choice. It wasn't my place to ask questions, but I thought it very strange. It was unlike your mistress, eh? Very unlike her, sir. What do you think? Well, sir, I thought it was to do with the gentleman in the carriage. She didn't speak to him, but she turned round once or twice as though to ask him if she was doing it right. But you didn't see the gentleman's face? No, sir. He stood with his back to me all the time. Can you describe him at all? He had a light fawn overcoat and a traveling cap. He was tall and slender, and the back of his head was dark. You didn't know him? Oh, no, I don't think so, sir. It was not your master, Mr. Carrington, by any chance. Mason looked rather startled. Oh, I don't think so, sir. But you are not sure? It was about the master's build, sir, but I never thought of it being him. We so seldom saw him. I couldn't say it wasn't him. Poirot picked up a pin from the carpet and frowned at it severely. Then he continued, Would it be possible for the man to have entered the train at Bristol before you reached the carriage? Mason considered. Yes, sir, I think it would. My compartment was very crowded, and it was some minutes before I could get out, and then there was a very large crowd on the platform, and that delayed me too. But he'd only have a minute or two to speak to the mistress that way, so I took it for granted that he'd come along the corridor. That is more probable, certainly. He paused, still frowning. You know how the mistress was dressed, sir? The papers gave a few details, but I would like for you to confirm them. She was wearing a white fox fur toque. What's a toque?
Toque.
Toque.
A hat.
It's a hat. Lovely. She was wearing a white fox fur toque, sir, with a white spotted veil, and a blue frisee coat and skirt. The shade of blue they call electric. Ooh! Electric blue. Rather striking. Yes, remarked Holiday. Inspector Japp is in hopes that he may help us to fix the spot where the crime took place. Anyone who saw her would remember her. Precisement. Thank you, mademoiselle. And the maid left the room. Well, Poirot got up briskly. That is all I can do here, except, monsieur, that I would ask you to tell me everything, but everything. I have done so. Are you sure?
I have,
sir. Are you sure? Absolutely. Then there is nothing more to be said. I must decline the case. Why? Because you have not been frank with me. I assure you, you are keeping something back. There was a moment's pause, and then Halliday drew a paper from his pocket and handed it to my friend. I guess that's what you're after, Monsieur Poirot. Though how you know about it fairly gets my goat.
Because someone's always withholding information.
Well, yes, and he can tell because he's Poirot. Poirot smiled and unfolded the paper. It was a letter written in thin, sloping handwriting. Poirot read it aloud. Chère Madame, it is with infinite pleasure that I look forward to the felicity of meeting you again. After your so amiable reply to my letter, I can hardly restrain my impatience. I have never forgotten those days in Paris. It is most cruel that you should be leaving London tomorrow. However, before very long, and perhaps sooner than you think, I shall have the joy of beholding once more the lady whose image has ever reigned supreme in my heart. Believe, chère Madame, all the assurances of my most devoted and unaltered sentiments, Armand de la Rochefort. Uh-oh. All right, scoundrel. Poirot handed the letter back to Halliday with a bow. I fancy, monsieur, that you did not know that your daughter intended renewing her acquaintance with the Count de la Rochefort. It came as a thunderbolt to me. I found this letter in my daughter's handbag. As you probably know, Monsieur Poirot, this so-called Count is an adventurer of the worst type. Poirot nodded. But what I want to know is how you knew of the existence of this letter. My friend smiled. Monsieur, I did not, but to track footmarks and recognize cigarette ash is not sufficient for a detective. He must also be a good psychologist. I knew that you disliked and mistrusted your son-in-law. His benefits by your daughter's death, the maid's description of the mysterious man, bears a sufficient resemblance to him, yet you are not keen on his track. Why? Surely because your suspicions lie in another direction. Therefore, you were keeping something back. You're right, Monsieur Poirot. I was sure of Rupert's guilt until I found this letter. It unsettled me horribly. Yes, the Count says before very long, and perhaps sooner than you think. Perhaps he would not want to wait until you should get wind of his reappearance. Was it he who traveled down from London by the 12:14 and came along the corridor to your daughter's compartment? The Count de la Rochefort is also, if I remembered right, tall and dark. The millionaire nodded. Well, monsieur, I will wish you a good day. Scotland Yard has, I presume, a list of the jewels? Yes, I believe Inspector Japp is here now if you'd like to see him. Japp was an old friend of ours and greeted Poirot with a sort of affectionate contempt. And how are you, monsieur? Not bad feeling between us, though we have got our different ways of looking at things. How are the little grey cells, eh? Going strong? Poirot beamed upon him. They function, my good Japp. Assuredly they do. Then that's all right. Think it was the Honourable Rupert or Crook. We're keeping an eye on all the regular places, of course. We shall know if the shiners are disposed of, and of course whoever did it isn't going to keep them to admire their sparkle. Not likely. I'm trying to find out where Rupert Carrington was yesterday. Seems a bit of a mystery about it. I've got a man watching him. A great precaution, but perhaps a day late, suggested Poirot gently. You always will have your joke, Monsieur Poirot. Well, I'm off to Paddington, Bristol, Weston, Taunton. That's my beat. So long. You will come round to see me this evening and tell me of the result? Sure thing, if I'm back. That good inspector believes in matter of motion, murmured Poirot as our friend departed. He travels, he measures footprints, he collects mud and cigarette ash. He is extremely busy. He is zealous beyond words. And if I mention psychology to him, do you know what he would do, my friend? He would smile. He would say to himself, Poor old Poirot, he ages, he grows senile. Japp is the younger generation knocking on the door, and, ma foi, they are so busy knocking that they do not notice that the door is open.
Kids
these days.
What's the matter with kids today?
And what are you going to do? As we have carte blanche, I shall expend 3 pence in ringing up the Ritz, where you may have noticed our Count is staying. After that, as my feet are a little damp, I have sneezed twice, I shall return to my rooms and make myself a tinsano over the spirit lamp. Is that like a tea?
Some tea, yeah.
I did not see Poirot again until the following morning. I found him placidly finishing his breakfast. Well, I inquired eagerly, what has happened? Nothing. But Japp? I have not seen him. The Count. He left the Ritz the day before yesterday. The day of the murder? Yes. Then that settles it. Rupert Carrington is cleared. Because the Count de Rochefort has left the Ritz, you go too fast, my friend. Anyway, he must be followed, arrested, but what could be his motive? $100,000 worth of jewelry is a very good motive for anyone. No, the question to my mind is, Why kill her? Why not simply steal the jewels? She would not prosecute. Why not? Because she is a woman, mon ami. She once loved this man. Therefore, she would suffer her loss in silence. And the Count, who is an extremely good psychologist where women are concerned, hence his successes, would know that perfectly well. On the other hand, if Rupert Carrington killed her, why take the jewels? Which would incriminate him fatally. As a blind? Perhaps you are right, my friend. Ah, here is Jap. I recognize his knock. The inspector was beaming humoredly.
Yeah, he'd just gotten an ice cream bar from the Good Humor Man.
And tickled.
Which made him happy.
He's happy.
Yeah.
He got tickled while he was eating Good Humor ice cream.
The Good Humor Man really shouldn't be going around tickling the people he sells ice cream to. Fairly certain that's illegal.
Well, Jap's an adult. Maybe he paid extra for a little.
I don't know. He's one of the young ones, remember?
A little tickle. Jap paid for a little extra tickle. Morning, Poirot. Only just got back. I've done some good work. And you? Me, I have arranged my ideas, replied Poirot placidly. Jap laughed heartily. Old chap's getting on in years, he observed beneath his breath to me. That won't do for us young folk, he said aloud. Que dommage? Poirot inquired. Like, what's the damage?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to hear what I've done? You permit me to take a guess. You have found the knife in which the crime was committed by the side of the line between Weston and Taunton, and you have interviewed the paper boy who spoke to Mrs. Carrington at Weston. Jap's jaw fell. How on earth did you know? Oh, don't tell me it was those almighty little grey cells of yours. I'm glad you admit for once that they are almighty. Tell me, did she give the paper boy a shilling for himself? No, it was half a crown. Jap recovered his temper and grinned. Pretty extravagant, these rich Americans. And in consequence, the boy did not forget her. Not he. Half-crowns don't come his way every day. She hailed him and bought 2 magazines. One had a picture of a girl in blue on the cover. That'll match me, she said. Oh, he remembered her perfectly. Well, that was enough for me. By the doctor's evidence, the crime must have been committed before Taunton. I guessed they'd throw the knife away at once and walk down the line looking for it, and sure enough, there it was. I made inquiries at Taunton about our man, but of course it's a big station. It was likely that they'd notice him. He'd probably got back to London by a later train. Poirot nodded. Very likely. But I found another bit of news when I got back. They're passing the jewels, all right. That large emerald was pawned last night by one of the regular lot. Who do you think it was? I don't know, except that he was a short man. Jap stared. Well, you're right there. He's short enough. It was Red Narky. Not Red Narky.
That's a hell of a name.
That is. Who on earth is Red Narky, I asked. It's like, not more people. A particularly sharp jewel thief, sir, and not one to slick at murder. No, and not one to stick at murder. Usually works with a woman, Gracie Kidd. So they're like Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Cool. But she doesn't seem to be in it this time, unless she's got off to Holland with the rest of the swag. You've arrested Narky? Sure thing, but mind you, it's the other man we want. The man who went down with Mrs. Carrington in the train. Who went down on Mrs. Carrington in the train?
Yeah, apparently that's something you can get arrested for in England, which is rude.
Well, I mean, I guess it is a public space.
It's kind of like playing with your jewels in public.
And they killed her afterwards.
Yeah.
So I guess it wasn't necessarily that act, but it was the thing they did afterwards. So the man who went down with Mrs. Carrington in the train, he was the one who planned the job right enough, but Narky won't squeal on a pal. I noticed that Poirot's eyes had become very green. I think, he said gently, that I can help find Narky's pal for you, all right? One of your little ideas, eh? Jap eyed Poirot sharply. Wonderful how you manage to deliver the goods sometimes at your age and all. Devil's own luck, of course. Perhaps, murmured my friend. Hastings, my hat, and the brush. So, my galoshes, if it still rains. We must not undo the good work of that Tinsano. Au revoir, Jap. Good luck to you, Poirot. Poirot hailed the first taxi we met and directed the driver to Park Lane. When we drew up before Halliday's house, he skipped out nimbly, paid the driver, and rang the bell. To the footman who opened the door, he made a request in a low voice, and we were immediately taken upstairs. We went up to the top of the house and were shown into a small, neat bedroom. Poirot's eyes roved round the room and fastened themselves on a small black trunk. He knelt in front of it, scrutinizing the labels on it, and took a small twist of wire from his pocket. Ask Mr. Halliday if he will be so kind as to mount to me here?
Whoa!
What? Oh my God, Poirot!
I didn't realize Halliday and Poirot got along that well.
Poirot! You gonna bend over the black trunk and get mounted by Mr. Halliday? Damn! Ask Mr. Halliday if he will be so kind as to mount to me here. He said over his shoulder to the footman. All right. Oh,
he was just demonstrating the pose.
He was just like...
Over his shoulder.
Like, hey, how you doing? Okay, so then there's a reader's note in this version that says, it is suggested the reader pause in his perusal of the story at this point, make his own solution to the mystery, and then see how close he comes to that. The editors. All right, so should we?
All right, quick pause.
Okay, so we're each going to make our final assessments here.
Great. I'm going to stand by my prediction that the daughter is not dead, except now I think that what happened is the daughter has teamed up with Red Narky, and they killed his partner, Grace Kelly, or whatever her name was.
Gracie Kidd.
Yeah.
Not far.
And
that's who's dead. Gracie Kidd.
Gracie Kidd is the dead body. And then there were probably some other weird switcheroos in there someplace too. And now they are all running off with the Count de la Rochefort to kill D'Artagnan.
Okay.
And have an orgy with Milady de Winter.
Hot. I'm going to guess something along the lines. So we were introduced to Red Narky late in this story. Mm-hmm. So I do have a feeling he has a big part of this.
Okay.
A bigger part than we think, maybe. I think Red Narky and Gracie Kidd are actually behind all this with Dad.
Okay.
I think Dad hired them to get the jewels away from his daughter, but things went bad and they had to kill her. Whoopsie doodle. So now Dad is feeling guilty, even though he didn't do it and he didn't even hire them to do that. But he wanted to get the jewels away from her so her shitty ex-lover couldn't get the jewels.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that Red Narky did it, but didn't mean to.
All right.
And none of these other guys have anything to do with it. It's just... All right, so I think Dad is kind of the ultimate. All right, here we go. The man departed, and Poirot gently coaxed the lock of the trunk with a practiced hand. In a few minutes, the lock gave, and he raised the lid of the trunk. Swiftly, he began rummaging among the clothes it contained, flinging them out on the floor. There was a heavy step on the stairs, and Halliday entered the room. "What the hell are you doing here?" he demanded, staring. "I was looking, monsieur, for this." Poirot withdrew from the trunk a coat and a skirt of bright blue frisé and a small toque of white fox fur.
That's what she was wearing.
Yep. "What are you doing in my trunk?" I turned to see the maid, Jane Mason, had just entered the room.
Shit, was I right?
Oh, wait. If you will just shut the door, Hastings. Thank you. Yes. And stand with your back against it. Now, Mr. Halliday, let me introduce you to Gracie. Oh, we were both right.
Okay.
Okay. Let me introduce you to Grace Kidd, otherwise known as Jane Mason, who will shortly rejoin her accomplice, Red Narky, under the kind escort of Jap. It was the most simple. Poirot waved a deprecating hand, then helped himself to more caviar?
Awesome.
Where'd he get caviar?
Rich guy's house.
It's also in the bin. He was like, I'll take some of this. That sounds delicious. It was not every day that one lunches with a millionaire.
See, if you just shut up, it explains.
Yep. It was the maid's insistence on the clothes that her mistress was wearing that first struck me. Why was she so anxious that our attention should be directed to them? I reflected that we had only the maid's word for the mysterious man in the carriage at Bristol. As far as the doctor's evidence went, Mrs. Carrington might easily have been murdered before reaching Bristol. But if so, then the maid must be an accomplice. And if she were an accomplice, she would not wish this point to rest on her evidence alone. The clothes Mrs. Carrington was wearing were of a striking nature. A maid usually has a good deal of choice as to what her mistress shall wear. Now, if, after Bristol, anyone saw a lady in a bright blue coat and skirt and a fur toque, he would be quite ready to swear he had seen Mrs. Carrington. I began to reconstruct. The maid would provide herself with duplicate clothes. She and her accomplice chloroform and stab Mrs. Carrington between London and Bristol, probably taking advantage of a tunnel. Her body is rolled under the seat. The maid takes her place. So, kind of, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. At Weston, she must make herself noticed. How? In all probability, a newspaper boy will be selected. She will ensure his remembering her by giving him a large tip. She also drew his attention to the color of her dress by remarking about one of the magazines. After leaving Weston, she throws the knife out the window to mark the place where the crime presumably occurred and changes her clothes or buttons a long mackintosh over them. At Taunton, she leaves the train, returns to Bristol as soon as possible, where her accomplice has duly left the luggage in the cloakroom. He hands over the ticket and himself returns to London. She waits on the platform carrying out her role, goes to the hotel for a night, and returns to town in the morning exactly as she said. When Japp returned from his expedition, he confirmed all my deductions. So Japp did all the work.
Yep.
He also told me that a well-known crook was passing the jewels. I knew that whoever it was would be the exact opposite of the man Jane Mason described. When I heard it was Red Narky, who also worked with Gracie Kidd, well, I knew where to find her. And the Count? The more I thought of it, the more I was convinced that he had nothing to do with it. Yay! The gentleman is much too careful of his own skin to risk murder. It would be out of keeping with his character. Well, Monsieur Poirot, said Halliday, I owe you a big debt, and the check I write after lunch won't go near to settling it. Poirot smiled modestly and murmured to me, That good Jap. He shall get the official credit, all right. But though he has got his Gracie Kidd, I think that I, as the Americans say, have got his goat. The end.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So we both kind of were right.
I mean, I was right in the sense of I don't think I got any single detail right.
I was right in the fact that I thought Gracie Kidd she killed her. So, yeah. Or like, I thought that they it went wrong. Right. I thought Dad was involved.
Right.
He was not.
Yeah.
So it was just she basically got targeted by petty thieves who knew she carries. That's why you don't carry millions of dollars of jewels with you at all times.
Yeah.
That's just asking for snarky people? For narky people. Hey, for narky people to come after you on a train and kill you. That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, and Gracie Kidd had been planted as her maid. So they'd been trolling her for a while.
They'd been on it for a while. It wasn't a chance mugging.
No,
it was a plan.
That was very much a planned situation. Well, all right. That was a wake up to my senses of dialect work that I have not been doing for a very long time.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Wow, my mouth hurts. My mouth hurts, my soul hurts, and I hope you enjoyed that story.
So what did you think, listener? Did you enjoy that one? Were your predictions any more accurate than ours were?
Yeah.
I can promise you they weren't less accurate than mine.
There you go. You probably did better than Ken.
Yep.
Who mic dropped himself during this episode.
I did. I feel like my predictions got, I think I made 3 significant predictions and
they got less accurate.
They got further and further away from the truth.
Now, to be fair,
the more information I got.
To be fair, that's something you like to do. You like to get more and more redonkulous as you go on.
Wildly speculate, yeah. I didn't get around to officially announcing my prediction that it was the Master.
The Master?
Yeah.
Who's the Master?
From Doctor Who.
Oh. It was Doctor Strange the whole time.
It was me, Dr. Evil.
Oh, won $69 billion. 69. Well, that was fun. I had a little kava. I had a little mouth aerobics, and I'm feeling good.
All right. So, hey, listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this wild and crazy journey that has been 100 episodes.
100 episodes.
We are officially ready for syndication.
Yes, anyone who wants to give us some money, feel free anytime.
Apparently that's part of the reason in television that 100 episodes is such a big deal, is because it was one of the first things that was benchmarked as like, if you make it to 100 episodes, we'll pick up the show for syndication.
So we can run it continuously.
Because what it meant is they could do a new episode every night, Monday through Friday in reruns, and run it for like a full season.
Yeah,
run it
for a
like
full
half
season.
the year.
Yeah. So they wouldn't have to worry about like, oh, we just saw this episode yesterday. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So yes, syndication. Anybody out there wanna pick us up? I'll work on my dialects. Promise. Or that may be one of the best parts of this podcast is I'm not good at them.
Or she won't.
Or I won't. I'll do whatever you tell me if you give me $69 billion.
So that's the price, huh?
69 billion, apparently. Yes.
All right, cool.
So Google Podcast or any of those places, if you want to pick up the podcast, $69 billion.
Richard Branson.
If you're listening. Elon Musk.
No, he doesn't have it anymore.
That's true. That he lost it. Who else is shitty out there? Let's see.
Most of them.
Most of them. I'll take their money and use it for good.
Cool. So listeners, let us know what you thought about that one. Please, reach out, message us, either on any of the social medias, which Heather will be taking over from now on. So she'll probably be better at it than I was.
I'll respond. I'll say, hey, thanks.
Or shoot us an email at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of this story. Let us know what you would do for $69 billion. And
I would do pretty much anything for $69
billion. And
I mean,
while you're doing, well, you could also let us know what you would do for $69.
Huh.
Just because I feel like that's a more interesting question. What would you do for $69?
Yum. No, that's a different commercial. That's a very different commercial.
Is it something yummy? Would you do something yummy for $69?
I can think of a few things I'd do for $69 that involve yumminess.
And when you shoot us that email and that message, please include this week's secret passcode, which is generous tip.
Generous tip. Yeah, that's something a lot of people would do for $69. Just a generous tip.
Would you do a generous tip for $69? Yeah, I think that's all for me. You got anything else before we wrap up here?
That's it. I'm excited to be back, and I love y'all. Follow us on all the social medias, and yeah, do reach out. We'll respond, or I'll respond, or someone will respond.
The show will respond.
The show will respond.
The show must respond.
Ah.
And on that note, until next week, this has been Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. We're centennials now. Happy birthday to us.
Fortunately, that melody is now in public domain.